Friends, it's November 16th, 2020, and we are here at the beautiful South Fork of the Guadalupe River in central Texas. It flows north into the Guadalupe River, and we are going to diagnose the river bank that is to the west. We will discover, as we always discover when we explore creek banks and river banks, that this is ancient terraforming laid down by an advanced race or races in the distant past. We are here on the precipitous riverbank of the South Fork of the Guadalupe River here in central Texas. And I just wanted to show you some features of this molded concrete river bank. Now this is probably about 120 feet up from the river. And I wanted to show you something that I've noticed throughout Texas, which is the stepped quality of the hills. Now, geologists would say that the reason the hills are stepped in Texas is because they are sedimentary. But what we see here is not sedimentary layers. There's no layering to speak of at all. Just molded steps. The ancients made sure that this river that they built from the riverbed up stayed where they put it, stayed exactly where they wanted it to be. How did they do that? How did they ensure that the river would stay on course? Well, they built a 110 or 120 foot high bank over here made out of concrete. This is gypsum concretized by the ancients, heated into the form you see it now. So the point is that these are not separate layers being eroded over time. These are separate forms in one molded concrete structure. So we have this step, which is a form, and above it another step, right? And you can see the top of that. And below, the edge to this massive step here. This is all one concrete stepped shape with step forms within it. There's no breaks. You can see very clearly that these are joined. There's no sedimentary layer, horizontal meeting points anywhere in this structure. This is what I've seen all around Texas, is the stepped quality of the hills. We have a foliage-free area. Why is the area foliage-free? Well, this is concrete, really hard to get your roots into. And this concrete has lasted the ages, essentially in the form you see it now. So the stepping is a feature that the ancients used all around the world. They used it in South Africa, they used it in Bosnia. And you can see what I call step downs throughout Bosnia that go for miles and miles and miles along the hills. It's the same principle. Now we're about 40 feet further up the riverbank, and we're looking at another step in this concrete, and we're seeing our first section break, and this is diagonal to the flow of the river. It's a 45 approximately to the flow of the river, okay? And it's quite integral right here, but then we see it more clearly there and more clearly there, okay? So that's a clear section break. Now they're working in sections in this top layer. We're going to see the same angle right here, 45 to the flow of the river, right there. Now let's notice another section break that they created. So on the left we have this primary diagonal, which is going at a 45 to the flow of the river, right? And then we have, meeting it, this line. So that meets at a 90 degree, which means that's at another essentially perfect 45 to the flow of the river, okay? So those are two 45s to the flow of the river. Super strong building. This diagonal riverbank construction is what we find on two continents, both in Eurasia and throughout North America. The ancients used diagonal seams in their concrete to keep their structures strong throughout the ages. And I've documented that in, I won't say countless videos because one could count them, but they seem pretty countless to me. Again, we see this diagonal, and we see again a perfect 45 in this meeting it, okay? So we see that it's not as clearly defined there. Then we have this seam, which is also a diagonal, which gives us another triangle, right here. So these two are going to meet at a point there. Okay, so that's another strong bit of building. So moving along this third diagonal, which is not quite a 45, but is going to meet that 45-degree section line up there at a point. Let's follow this particular seam, and we'll notice how the face is not flush. Okay, it's about an inch above this section, so it's one section here, and then I start another section here. We'll notice that this is not a crack or a fracture. Okay, this is a seam in ancient concrete. And how do you know that? Because it's not fracturing apart. It's joining together in an integral way so that this concrete could last the ages. Okay, super strong building. And then once it gets down here, we see perfect integration, no seam at all. Here on this one, very, very, very strongly joined. Then we don't know if there was a piece that broke out there, okay? But if there was, we see an interior face right here. We can see how strongly joined these are, okay? This is what a crack looks like right there. This little jagged line and that's going across horizontally, that's a crack, all right? This is a seam, which shows us that this is terraformed material, and it joins so strongly there you can't even see the seam. It's all strongly joined. When they laid this down, at a different time that they laid this down, somehow they heated it so that it would join in an integral way. It's amazing.